Take my time. Good afternoon. I think we can do better than that. Good afternoon. Okay, that was a little better. That still sucked. All right. So we did get introduced, but before we do, here's all the questions that we're supposed to be asking. We're not asking those. All right? We gonna have some fun. Thank you for being here, Kim. I appreciate you. You're awesome. We're gonna have a good time today. So, how about panelists introduce yourselves? Maybe what's your specialty, your niche, what you love about cyber, and then some fun fact about yourself that you don't share with nobody. No, I'm just playing. Just something fun about yourself. We'll start on the end with Dr. Charles.
Test, yes. So my name is Dr. Kellep Charles, and I am a cybersecurity educator as well as a practitioner. And currently, my main focus has been in AI governance and AI security. So I hope to definitely answer some questions along those ways.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. My name is Dr. Dele Bankole. I've been in cyber going on 24 years. My specialty is governance, risk, and compliance. And I see a couple of engineers in the crowd smiling because I know you don't like the write-up, but I love it. Let's see, something about me. Oh, so I guess I can say I started out in cyber utilizing the DOS commands. Does everybody remember what DOS? I used to print out financial reports using DOS commands. Fun times. I'm so happy we've moved on.
Hi, everyone. This is Nish Majmudar. I'm currently the CISO at a company called Mathematica, based out of Princeton, New Jersey. I'm out of our DC office. So what's my specialty? I come from highly technical background. I've done from systems administration to engineering to data security to identity access management, network security, you name it, all the domains. At this current point in time, right, as a CISO, I'm responsible for all those domains plus risk and governance, incident handling, and all, you name it. So everything I would say is my core. But at the end of the day, you know, where I really find my sweet spot is data security. At the end of the day, CISOs are responsible for data, and somehow everything else relates to what our crown jewels are. So that's what I consider myself, right? Data security.
Yeah, thanks, Nish. Yeah, I'm Jitendra Chandna. Used to be the ex-CISO at the state of Maryland. And currently I'm on my own involved with the CMMC marketplace. Like I am a lead auditor there, CMMC assessor. And my background is very similar to Nish. I came from the IT consulting, IT engineering into security. So have dealt with both sides of the house, right? And understand the pain that IT feels about security and empathize with that too. So, and one interesting fact about me, if you look at me, you won't believe that I have run a full marathon. So.
All right, great. And I'm Jessica Hoffman, Deputy CISO for Philadelphia. Oh my goodness. And I'm not going to the parade tomorrow because I'm here. So be happy. I came here instead of the parade. That did not happen on purpose, I promise you. Yes, go Birds. Go Birds. Let's not cause a scene.
Commanders.
Really. Let's not cause a scene. No, see? Listen. Okay. You can. Thank you. Kim said we could keep it. Thank you, Kim. So, what y'all want to talk about? Somebody shout something out. AI. Good. That's what we're talking about. We're going to talk about AI governance because we have all these GRC people, so that's my background too, right? I like to tell people that their baby's ugly and then tell them to go fix it and then walk away. That's my favorite part. I'm the good-looking auditor, and yes, these are prescription, but I know I look cool still. Question. How many of y'all have an AI policy in your organization? Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Raise them high. Raise them high. Be proud. Come on. You got a half the policy? Why you got half your hand? All right. Okay, keep your hand up. Next question. How many of y'all's AI policy is any good? Keep your hand up if it's any good. That's what I thought. Okay. So, AI governance, can mean different things to different organizations, different people. We're still at the inception, so to speak, of AI as far as it distributed to the masses. You know, everybody, I wrote these questions in 2 minutes from ChatGPT. All right, holla. It's going to be great. So, to start, I'd like to hear from each of you panelists. How do you define AI governance in your work, and why is it essential to be in place? Who wants to go first?
So this question has been simmering for the past year and a half, because as we all know, the whole concept of AI, of course, has been around for a while, but organizations just started kind of getting the hang, of that buzzword. So in order to brush up, and this is a long way to answer your question, but I'm going to get there. Okay, so in order to brush up on AI, governance policy, et cetera, I attended a couple of privacy-based conferences. So for those of you that don't know, the privacy-based conferences are mostly the legal, lawyers. I didn't know that, so that's why I'm educating y'all. So one of the issues let's use ChatGPT as an example. The CEO of ChatGPT, stood up in front of Congress and said, please be careful with the data that you input into our technology, because we don't know where it is, we don't know where it goes. So good luck and have a great day. And he sat down and, we were like, what? And that's not information that you want to hear, because you're at your organization dealing with, private data, sensitive data, children's data, elderly data, Social Security. So, you're trying to, be more security vigilant, but then you have this worldwide, app that everybody's using and is great, but you have to be careful what to put in it, because at the current moment, there isn't a specific technology per se to track where the data is going. So I say all this to say, one theme that I've seen happen in many of the industries, because I've worked in nonprofit, I've worked as a consultant in the federal space, I've worked in the state agency, healthcare. So the same theme was, we need to create, and I like to call this, going back to the basics, a policy, where we have to tell people, yes, you do have access to this technology, but we need you to not put in your sensitive information. If you want to restructure your resume, do not put in your address, please. So don't put in your phone number and your don't put your last 4 Social Security. If you want to reformat your resume, using that as an example, just wipe out all your sensitive data, put it in, let it spit out, and then update accordingly. So I say all this to say, so far from what I've seen, a good policy, a good governance is, so first of all, create that policy that defines how to use this tool. Secondly, is training. So yes, we can create policies all day long, but who's going to guarantee that your users are going to read it? Yeah, so now we have to have training. So now we have to tell you what's in the policy. Thank you.
So I'll take it. That's good, Dr. Dele. That's a good response on governance and policy. But in practice, right? What do we see as CISOs? Every month or twice a month, I get output from my network engineers. At Cisco umbrella, we are pulling out all our user activities and how many AI websites these guys have been going, right? So when ChatGPT first blew, right, year and a half back, 2 years back, everybody said, let's block it. So, and soon we realized, how much AI can you block? It's all over the place. Bing came out, and now Copilot, and everything's AI. So what can you block? So that's why we started getting from Cisco umbrella. They categorize all the AIs, right? And they put it as what are risky and what are not risky based on the usage patterns and things like that, right? So governance and policies are good, but at the end of the day, you still don't know what your users are inputting the data. Are they inputting your sensitive data in there or not? There's got to be checks and balances. That's where you're going to have to implement your CASB, your monitoring, DLP monitoring, what kind of data that goes into this, AI platforms that you can monitor. And you would need to block. So we have exercises that we go through every month. We start blocking AI websites. So for example, we have one approved text-to-speech or speech-to-text or whatever you want to call it, tool approved, right? But there are tons of them that every month they're popping up and users are going. So you want to keep on checking those logs and identifying what those websites are. You want to start blocking and only have the approved ones, and then make sure those approved ones are tied in, integrated with your technical controls, such as you're monitoring what your users are actually putting in. So that would be my solution. Yes, policy and governance is right, but that still does not stop users from actually putting in data.
Yeah. So Nish pretty much kind of took a lot of my thunder. But when we think about, AI governance, the key aspect is to protect the end user and to protect the organization. So when we talk about responsible AI, we want to make sure that our policy and our governance strategy is protecting the end user as well as the customer. The same way, they say CIOs and CISOs can't sleep at night because they're afraid of a breach is going to happen. When it comes to responsible AI, you want to make sure that bias is not preventing someone from getting the right kind of medical care or the right kind of decisions. And if that does come to light, then there's a reputation issue that's associated with the organization. But at the same time, for internal users, they're trying to be more efficient. And a lot of organizations are seeing that generative AI and these LLM systems do make their employees more efficient. And we want to make sure that we're using that responsibly as well. We want to make sure that PII information, PHI information are not being released and being part of an ecosystem where individuals could use certain types of prompts to gain that kind of information. So when we talk about AI governance, the key role is responsible AI to help protect the customers, as well as responsible AI to make sure that we're using it responsibly within the organization as well.
Yeah, I'll speak more from the CEO and the CIO perspective, right? So there is a FOMO going on. It's like if they don't do it, then their competitors will do it, and they will be left behind, right, as far as business is concerned. But again, as everybody else is mentioning here, you have to do it responsibly. You have to make sure that any AI that you get within your organization, you know exactly what it is going to do. There is a requirement from a government regulatory perspective to be able to explain what the AI is doing, right? To understand what the impact is going to be. Like, for example, from a development perspective, we have heard Mark Zuckerberg say that they are going to release AI which is going to code at sort of a mid-level engineer. But is it going to do it securely? Are they going to write secure codes, right? What vulnerabilities is going to be introduced within the environment because of not following secure practices? So all these factors are something that we have to bring under the governance like umbrella and make sure that responsible people have an idea of what AI is actually doing within their environment.
So, what is a CISO's biggest fear about AI? That it gets its security best practices from Reddit. I got a little chuckle. Was there a question back there? Can you repeat the question? Did you say how can you protect?
With AI governance, right? Can you really protect end users and organizations if people just turn to their personal devices for AI? Like shadow IT, rise of shadow IT.
So the short answer is no. You can't. There is MDM, MAM, you can manage mobile devices to an extent, right? But the question, a cell phone, yes, with MDM, MAM controls, you can limit what a user can do, what apps they can use, but still, that same user can go to their home and put it on their iPad and ask the same question, business-related question, on an AI, and there's nothing we can do. So the short answer is very little we can do. We can do with the, so to your answer, shadow IT. The iPad becomes a shadow IT. Known devices we can control, unknown devices, there's no way we can control.
Can I add to that? However, I feel like with policies in place,
I knew she was going to say that.
we can, at the very highest basic level, right? So that is a great question, because for me, I'm all about corporate-owned equipment anyway. I don't believe in bring your own device, to perform work functions. But yes, to your point, it does happen, and that's why I always advocate at the highest, I guess, most basic level, those policies does define, so that in the hopes that a staff member chooses to, do that shadow IT thing, hopefully they've gained the knowledge either within reading the policy or during the training, they can operate securely, on their own device. So, great question.
And what kind of control is policies? Administrative.
I was kind of hoping to take it in the direction of the news item, DeepSeek. A lot of people are saying your data is going back to China. They built the whole thing for $6 million. $6 million? Seriously? The NVIDIA H100 processors are $25,000 a piece. That'd be 240 processors. OpenAI says they took 2 orders of magnitude more than that to build their thing. So their code may have been stolen. And H100s may have been slipped over the border. How can you secure that? It's the most popular AI on Apple. I mean, what are you going to do? I put it on my system at home. It has a 7 billion model, an 8 billion model, a 13 billion model, and a 33 billion model. It takes a while to run. But it does coding. It does math. It's fantastic. I think it might be stolen. If it is, how do you secure it?
So the answer is block it. For organizations that are sensitive to nation-state actors, agencies, federal government, state government, the short answer is you got to block it. Our company, 70% of our revenue comes from federal government contracting, so we blocked it. Not because it's Chinese owned, but because there are a lot of known vulnerabilities around DeepSeek, the exposure to sensitive data, exposure to the known vulnerabilities out there, right? So we could become a third-party attack chain for federal government. People can come into our environment and get into federal government. So that's why we blocked it. But to your point of how DeepSeek came with 6 million, all of that are numbers. Nobody actually really believes what they're saying. But it is a fantastic tool. On personal, I do use it on my personal device, right? But it is, to your point, it is a good tool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. For organizations that have data governance and that wants to secure data, blocking is one of the key controls. But when it comes to using it privately, like you do, statistics and research has shown that the data does not get propagated to China and it stays locally within that particular system. So, if you want to use it because the resources are not as much and it's totally free, you don't have to worry about paying the $200 that OpenAI, and you're able to do a lot more development. It works fine, for that particular component. But when it comes to PII information and organizational information, block it is the key control that we've did since day one, once it came out.
Yes, Kellep said, I also downloaded it and I'm using a local copy. I'm not using the cloud version of it. Precisely for the reason I don't know whether it's going to China, what sort of backdoors are there, right? So safe thing to do is to download the local copy, and like any asset that you have, right, make sure that there's nothing there which is going out, right? And that is where the policies come in.
So let's stick with the responsibility You on topic? Go ahead. Wait, Mike.
Just had a quick question about the AI. So stepping away from DeepSeek and stuff like Copilot, that's Microsoft. That I saw something that said it's watching what you put in, like as you type it on screen. So it's almost like a keylogger, but the AI is seeing what you're seeing. It's hearing what you're hearing, right? And that's always taking contextual information as well. So you don't have to hit send. So data doesn't have to be in transit anymore. You can type it in the search bar and said, oh, maybe I shouldn't type that. And you hit, you delete it, but the AI saw that you typed it. So the data that's in use right now is also vulnerable. How do we get around, or how do you secure for that?
That's a great question. In my previous organization, we put together an AI steering committee because we had a lot of our staff that wanted to utilize different tools that had AI components. But we have specific steps in place for vendor risk management, which is where we evaluate the vendor to make sure that they're operating securely before we connect their platform to our internal infrastructure. So one of the questions was, well, how do we evaluate? How do we know it's safe? So what we discovered, so for instance, Microsoft, we know that they have varying certifications, security certifications. I believe FedRAMP is one of them. I'm going to have to go back and look. Another good example is Zoom. They also utilize AI, when you're in meetings, they, transcribe that information, et cetera, et cetera. But again, all the data that is collected through Zoom is kept in a environment that is secured, that is monitored, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess I can respond to that question from this point of view that, okay, Microsoft does have that, Copilot, but we are confident that they're taking the proper security steps to safeguard that data because of their security certifications, and same for Zoom. Versus, and I know I keep going back to the policy, but it's so important, versus ChatGPT, where, the CEO came out and said, yeah, we don't know where it's going, so keep up the good work, just want to let you know. And now we have to have that extra step, of the policy layer to say, please, just be careful with your data. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the ways you can secure also is just get a subscribed version, pay for it, and the data stays within your environment, right? Or Copilot, or even for ChatGPT, you can get a subscribed version. It'll stay. Well, they're marketing it that way, right? I'm not a customer, but all right. So, but I mean, for enterprise versions, you possibly could do it, but on a personal, on our day-to-day lives at home, you're right. We got to be careful. We got to be careful what we actually put in the search bar, because they might be, to your point, I didn't know that. Thanks for letting me know that they're actually, before you hit that send button, it's even recording that, what you put in this message bar.
I guess at the enterprise level, and if it is an important tool for you, get your legal team involved. Understand their terms of operations, agreements, and make sure that they are not violating any of your policies. Right? You have to make sure of that.
So definitely on topic as far as using AI responsibly. So the difference between purchasing a license, right? You have some assurances. We have to trust the vendor third-party risk management process, right? Versus using ChatGPT where we're paying no free lunches, right? So on that note, I think that how many of you are government? Anybody government in here? Okay, so we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about government. I know all y'all versed in government policies and so forth and guidelines as far as compliance. So, the Pennsylvania House Democrats put forth a bill for an investigation about the usage of AI in the state of Pennsylvania because they're worried, they're scared, right? They're scared that AI is going to take their job, right? Going to take the job. It'll hallucinate, give bad data, be biased. A whole, slew of things. They're just really uneducated, afraid. But, getting an investigation isn't a bad idea, right? Let's make sure that we're moving forward, but in a cautious manner. So when we're talking about from a federal government, I mean, the people, the great people of our state, our nation, they have put trust in our government services. So how do you ensure that the products that you are procuring that have AI are those that will make sure that the data is safeguarded outside of our regular governance process? You know, we don't really have something that says, here's a SOC report yet, or, you know, doesn't include like the AI, the frameworks are still, you know, up in the air. There's no like NIST 853, yes, let's do it. I mean, there is the IRMF. So in you guys' experience, I mean, how would you move forward in that scenario?
One of the first things that we always do when we are looking at AI is that there's something that is called a model card. And all AI-based systems should have a model card associated with it. It basically provides information pertaining to the AI system, what kind of model it's using, and just a lot of information that could help you understand more about the AI system. But in conjunction, we also conduct what is known as an AI impact assessment. And within that AI impact assessment, we have questions, again, associated to policies, as well as other components. And between the model card and the AI impact assessments, our governance team will kind of get together and kind of make a determination to see if we should go forward or not on that particular vehicle.
So, Dr. Charles, that's great, and I'd probably want to leverage some of your assessments. But is the assessment that you guys are doing, is that just for your organization use, or are you doing this as a service to the larger audience?
It's for our organization.
Okay, all right. So that's a great point. I think this is what I've struggled with. I've struggled with constantly, and nothing intended for the vendors here, but a lot of the vendors that you run into in 2024, 2023, and now 2025, everyone's marketing themselves as AI, right? And if you really look into, if you really go deeper into and question and go into their modeling, it's really not AI. It's still machine ML. It's not a large language model that they're using, right? But they're marketing it as that. So you've got to answer your question, Jessica, you've got to go ask deeper into their AI model and understand exactly what they're doing, how they're storing that data, how they're using that data, and what's their retention policies onto when you start querying your data, right? You've got to ask a lot of those detail-oriented questions and then make a decision on that vendor. But I've still got to find, honestly, there's a handful of vendors that I've seen that are using true AI. So there's a lot of work still needs to be done in that space.
I think the customers are going to getting intelligent too, right? Like as Nish mentioned, in 2022, when we were going to all these cybersecurity conferences, everybody would pitch themselves as an AI company. And when we asked them, okay, explain to us what it does, they would say that's a trade secret. So it's a black box, right? Important thing is going to be the explainability of the model. Try to understand what that model is actually doing, and does it have biases in it? What sort of biases are there? What sort of results you're going to get out of it? Do your own analysis. Don't just trust the vendor. Try to understand what it is doing, how it is impacting you. And that is where, as Dr. Charles mentioned, the governance piece is going to be very important, and doing that assessment is a key thing.
So the government, we should trust the AI. It's more efficiencies, right? Yes, sir.
One more dip of the well here. You guys are bringing up the idea of policy and assessment. Now, AI Exploria lists about 5,000 different current AI models right now. If you go there, you'll see them all for everything. Let's say my boss comes up to me tomorrow and says, got these 3 different AIs off AI Exploria they want to bring into the company. I'd like you to do an assessment. Now, if I go to Copilot and I put in model card for AI, it draws a blank. I have to research with Google to even find that fit on other software. It's a new term in AI. So how am I going to do an assessment on this thing? I can do 853 and do an assessment on anything else. Where's my NIST guidance on going into AI and policy? There's no policy without an assessment, right? Can't even begin. So if someone comes in and says, block it, why? I never did an assessment. Or nobody even agreed on what the assessment was or should be.
Right. So, yeah, NIST only has the governance piece of it. AI governance, NIST still does not have a policy piece to it. But at the end of the day, it depends on your use cases and the industry you are. So you want to. I get it. Blocking is not always the favorite thing. We as a cybersecurity practitioners here, all of us, we are coming in between the business and the user. Users want to do what they want to do. We are coming in between, but we are held, at the end of the day, we are responsible for data. We're responsible for, so we've got to make those policies where blocking is the right thing to do. It may not be the NIST published guidelines right now, but that's what we are hired to do, and that's what we're paid to do, right? To secure the data.
Yeah, and as stated, it's definitely depends on the use case, and it definitely takes some ingenuity and some out-of-the-box thinking when it comes to assessment. For example, we have a lot of developers and engineers within our organizations that are creating these private LLM models to create some sort of solution within the organization. And there are tools out there, free open source tools as well as commercial tools that can test various components of a responsible AI policy, such as bias, privacy, and certain things of that nature. So again, you could run these particular tools, and again, we're thinking out of the box. Everyone is doing it their own way, and that's one of the things that a lot of us are looking for when the EU AI Act comes around. That'll help kind of guide many of our efforts to be a little more closely tied together, but there are certain tools out there that you could test to see if something is biased, to test to see if prompt injections and different jailbreaking components are susceptible to that particular LLM device. And as stated, it's a use-based situation. But a lot of us are thinking out of the box. We're making this up as we go along. We're using best efforts, and we're producing and hopefully providing the right kind of safeguards.
See, so that was a great question. One of the privacy law conferences that I went to, that was a big topic of discussion. A lot of people, just like yourself, we have AI tools that we have to assess. We don't have any framework. We don't even have a questionnaire. We don't know what to look for. And one of the questions I brought up, and to Dr. Charles' point, yes, we definitely have to be creative, One of the questions I asked was, well, in the meantime, right, while we're evolving the whole AI governance space, we can leverage the NIST 853 controls, or you can leverage the SOC 2 Type 2 controls, because it still gives you some kind of a foundational guidance of how you want that, AI tool to be secure and or in its operational state. So you asked a question, and you also gave, an answer that can do for now, right? So thank you. That's it.
See, another thing to this is it's a very new industry, right? So there is a dearth of talent. That's a big problem. A lot of effort is happening on the development side of it. Not a lot of effort is happening on the understanding side of it at the moment. So we are just being bombarded by new things on a daily basis, right? You came out, AI has been there for a very long time. Then LLMs came, then RAG, GRPO yesterday. So it's a it's difficult time for the industry to keep a handle on, what's going on a daily basis. And a lot of innovation is happening at a very rapid clip. So I think it's going to take some time to catch up with it. When the talent is there, enough of talent is there, we'll be able to do a much better job with it.
Yeah, and this time kind of reminds me a little bit about when we went to the transition when we started paying attention to application security. At one time, you know, it was all about host security, and then application security started becoming a real big problem. And a lot of individuals would not really take that as serious. Then it came to the point where application security became a very big component in our overall security posture. So I think we're in that particular transition right now when it comes to AI and AI tools. You know, the SOC and the NIST 800.53 definitely plays a very important role. But again, there are some specific threats that are specific to AI, you know, when it comes to model poisoning and data poisoning and the different types of adversarial attacks that are associated with that. So again, you know, we definitely need to think in a different way to be able to capture a lot of those components.
That's a great point, Dr. Charles. You know, that analogy of AppSec, I totally, I'm with you. I think 10, 15 years back, AppSec was a known entity, you know, and in the last 10 years, 90% of the attacks have been based on web attacks and AppSec. And now AppSec has gotten mature, and I think hopefully AI security would be one of those domains coming forward and will get maturity. But to everyone's point here, you know, it's not there. We're not there yet. We don't have a perfect solution. It's so fastly growing entity.
So we're talking about the OWASP top 10 for LLMs, right? What Dr. Charles was talking about. So we do have some guidelines there for sure. We have another question in the back. Are you?
No, I was saying, like, similar to cloud security before, and when it came, like, now we have a lot of talent and people know what to do with it. So very, very similar thing is going to happen with AI.
Question?
Oh, I just wanted to say this. This may or may not be helpful, but Microsoft has a responsible AI impact assessment template that you could use and maybe tailor to fit your organization. It's also a guide that comes with it. So it's helpful when evaluating AI use cases.
My question is, why have a separate AI policy? That suggests our existing policies have gaps. Should we not be addressing those gaps and have a holistic policy around our software or services?
Yes.
I mean, so that's a great question. You guys are asking really, really good questions. So
They were waiting for us, girl.
So being the GRC expert here, so I will say again, right? The AI is a new buzzword that's been buzzing for the past, you know, I say a year and a half, 2 years, you know, has been, and everybody just kind of, what is the word? Got nervous, scared, you know, like, oh, what is this? We don't know what to do. We don't have anything in place. We don't know what to leverage. We don't know what to reference. So instead of, you know, everybody's trying to calm down, you know, and be calm and, you know, operate securely, that's where, right, the AI policy came into place. Because, I mean, to your point, right, we still have the foundational or the fundamentals, the access control, right? The contingency management training, the disaster recovery, you know, we have the vendor assessment. We have those. It's already in place. But with the AI coming out and people are scared, some people are not scared, we don't know what to do, we don't know what's going on. That's probably why I would say, you know, we had to create a whole new AI policy. But, you know, to my panel's comment and feedback, we're still getting there. We're still maturing, and hopefully within the next 5 years or so, you know, we won't be talking about an AI policy as a standalone, but, you know, as a overall covering.
I believe, like, similar to cloud, there is going to be a shared responsibility matrix for AI too, right? Where the vendor will be responsible for certain things, right? They just can't have a model out there which is inherently insecure and let the customer fight the battle. Like, there is going to be something like that.
All I will say is you have an excellent point. What I will say is buzzwords are good for job creation. So let's get AI security as a domain in cybersecurity. Let's have a lot of jobs.
Any future Any future chief AI officers out there? All right, perfect. I could tell by your jacket. Dr. Dele, I gotta agree with you. I mean, we're not starting from scratch. Okay, we got good security controls out there that you can tailor to your organization, right? Baseline, whatever makes sense. I feel like that creative is a good word. We get creative, investigate, right? Use the tools, get to know them, see what the benefits are, do our due diligence, get AI steering committees, all that great stuff, right? The future is here. Okay, we only have a couple more minutes, so we're gonna do a pop question. Okay, hold on. One more question over here, sir. Yes. How much time do we have? Sorry. Are we good on time? All right, go ahead.
My question is, do any of your vendors use AI? And then also, what do you do or what do you look at before attaching yourself to like said vendor?
Can you repeat? I'm sorry.
Do any of your vendors, any of the vendors within your cybersecurity firms use AI? Because we're talking about the policies and how, AI is used within your companies. And then what do you look at before attaching yourselves to those vendors? Before you use them, before you sign up with them?
Oh, yeah.
What are you looking at within their company before you say that this is a good person or a good company that I should attach myself to?
That's a great question, and I think I touched on this a little bit earlier. So for me, going or feeding into the vendor risk management process, so let's say we wanted a timesheet keeping, platform. Before we attach, their platform to our environment, we make sure that they have different security controls in place and or a security certification. So oftentimes we look for SOC 2 Type 2 because, it works, ISO 27001. Some organizations even prefer to implement PCI even if they don't process payments, which is fine. Security controls, we're good to go. So with that, right, going back to Dr. Charles' statement about being creative and just kind of rolling with what we already know, what we already have, Zoom is a good example of a vendor that we use, and they do have AI components. In evaluating them further, I was very comfortable in utilizing Zoom because, again, they have their SOC 2 Type 2. They also have ISO as well, and I believe they have FedRAMP, if I'm not mistaken. So the fact that they're already secure on that front, I'm very comfortable with their AI capabilities because I know, they're operating securely, so I know that the data that, that they're going to ingest from my organization will be, safe. So that's how we go about it.
All right, so we got 5 minutes left. All right, so pop question. We started with excitement, and we're going to end with excitement. How quick is your question? We got 5 minutes. Go.
Okay, so in this country, most people and organizations are committed to responsible AI. You've all given some very good examples of all of that. Does our commitment to responsible AI hamper our ability to innovate and hamper our ability to develop AI capabilities quickly?
Yes. Next question. They're all here afterwards. Buy them a drink.
Here's one that's going to make the difference. We're all afraid of AI. Let's destroy AI. It all goes to signal to noise. We know AI is based on data. Hallucinations, data poisoning. Years ago, I had this add-on to Google search that permanently inserted questions every time so they would not find my real questions inside the queries. If we all feed junk into the data, AI will become useless. And hallucination would be the standard, so there would be no problem with AI. How is that?
Propaganda. Okay. Excitement. All right, quick. Go ahead. Last one for the gentleman, future chief AI officer.
I think there's an easier answer than this. Use AI, an AI tool, to assess AIs. It really is the most direct route. If you create an AI tool that is designed for the purpose of assessment. You mentioned they're waiting for an executive order or something to come out on this whole thing. Why are we waiting on the governors and captains of politics to do that? We're the experts. They should be coming to us asking these questions, not us waiting for an executive order from somebody who doesn't even work in this field. The AI could assess the AI. What do you think? One tool that we all agree on that does the job, and the standard is built into the tool.
Well, one of the driving principles is human in the loop, and that kind of goes against that principle right there, so that wouldn't work.
And similar, so I literally was just going to say what Dr. Charles said, and also in addition, to answer everybody's question, the last three questions, so yes, there are people that are, or organizations that are scared of new technology. And to answer your very last question, the executive orders are actually helping. I forget the title of the executive order that Biden released that just pretty much said, it's okay, don't be scared, be creative, be free, onward and upward. So
Liberals.
So to your point, yes. Not unfortunately, but executive orders are actually helping the cause, even though, yes, we are the experts.
So I'll just like to address the gentleman's question over there, right?
We didn't forget about you.
So it's not new. AI is not new. Cybersecurity has always been called blockers for innovation. We are the road blockers. But don't take that as tell them, no, we're not road blockers, we're the guardrails, right? We may slow down innovation, but it's a necessary thing that we're doing, and we are guardrails.
So there are many examples within military, the use of smart bombs to minimize casualties on the battlefield.
Could you repeat the question for the audience online?
As to whether or not
That's not
use of responsible AI hampered our ability to innovate and develop capabilities quickly. To give an example from military, so military developed smart bombs to minimize casualties on the battlefield. However, it had the additional effect of making our armaments far more effective than bombs that weren't, GPS guided or laser guided or whatever. It minimized casualties, but it also made them more effective. I would argue that our deliberateness in developing AI and decomposing what we're doing and being deliberate about what we're doing and trying to be responsible will ultimately make our AI more effective. It may slow us down in the short term. I would agree with you that it may slow us down in the short term, but I think in the long term, it'll make us more effective and more capable.
Good point.
All right, next time we're going to get this guy on the panel so he can tell us how to use AI to blow up our country. And we're going to get this guy here because he knows everything. All right, so the last exciting, go around 10 to 20 seconds. Tell us, what are you excited for next that's going to happen with AI? Anything.
For me, it's the regulations and the laws. AI is moving way faster than we're able to implement laws and regulations. Just recently, in Maryland, 2 laws came that's on the books right now to combat some AI-generated images that can cause some real issues. These issues actually occurred, but there were no laws in the book to be able to prosecute the perpetrators that conducted these crimes. So again, our lawmakers waking up, putting laws and regulations in the books, I think those are some of the key things that I'm looking forward to.
I am looking forward to how quantum and AI are going to work together, work with each other, work against each other. I don't know anything about that, but I'm looking forward to it.
I was going to say I agree with Dr. Charles. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to innovations in cybersecurity protection tools that AI can provide. I think phishing remains the #1 cause of breach. There is, I was talking to Abnormal, the guys, I'll pitch in, you guys advertise yourself as AI native, so we'll talk more. And but that's what I'm looking forward to, some AI in identifying phishing.
And I'm looking forward to the assessment process. It's going to change. As an auditor, I've been doing it a long time, and I think AI is going to totally change the game, how we're getting audits, whether it's pen tests, exam and interview tests, whatever you're doing, whatever framework. So one last question, and we go, or not a question. We got a joke. Why did the AI SOC analyst quit?
Why, Jess?
It realized that no matter how much it learned, someone would still ignore its alerts. Okay, the first one was better. All right, give it up for our panel, everybody. Thank you. Is the bar still open? We got tickets. Tickets for everybody. Tickets over here. Is it still open? Can I grab a drink?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the bar is still open, so head on over. Hey.